Hello there, people of the internet. This is a good question, and I think that it's going to break a lot of hearts, but I also think that it's going to open up some eyes too. So I don't know, 15 or so years ago, if you were to stock up on military surplus rifles, then that would be considered a good investment. During the time period of like pre-Obama and whatnot, you could pick up mil-surps for pretty gosh darn cheap. Actually, this is a really good example. The Mosin Nagant, you could go out and pick up one of these rifles for like 80 bucks. Nowadays, they run more like 400 bucks, so that's a substantial markup on your investment. That's like a 300-something% markup on your investment. So if you bought yourself a couple of crates of Mosins and you bought them for like $80 a piece, then lo and behold, you are sitting on some pretty substantial amounts of money. Now, in hindsight, hindsight is 2020. Yeah, we can't do that anymore. Nowadays, they're more like 400 bucks. And investing into a Mosin, it wouldn't really necessarily be as good of an investment as it used to be, simply because the market has determined the price of these things what determined the price before was the fact that these are being surplused and brought into the country by just tremendous amounts, and now that surplus has dried up. So now it is the market price of these rifles that we are seeing, and I imagine that it will raise slowly over time due to inflation and availability and whatnot. And as the popularity and the collectorship of these particular mil-surps grow more and more, I'm sure that will also raise in cost. But we won't see a significant raise in cost like we have over the past decade or so. We saw like 500% increases in some rifles, and sometimes as much as like, 1,000% increases in others. I know growing up, I saw a German Kar 98 for sale at a gun store for like $99, and nowadays people want like 1,200 bucks for a worn out, shot out one. It is absolutely insane the price that these rifles have accumulated to, the price that they've raised to. So nowadays, are they going to be a good investment? Is investing in military surplus rifles nowadays any good? Is it a good idea? My personal opinion, I would say sometimes. It can sometimes be a good investment. Now, it's not going to make or break anything if you invest in a rifle and like just the amount of money that you'll get down the road if you decide to sit on it for 10 years likely won't be as substantial as what we have seen before. Because now we are seeing, like I said, what the market value of these things are whenever it is determined from the market and not just from being surplused from another country and sold on, en masse on dirt cheap. So we got to bear that in mind. So now we're looking at market price as opposed to surplus price. And for the most part, the market has stabilized, and I don't really see mil-surp prices raising all that much more than what they are right now over the course of the 10 years, with the exception of like inflation and whatnot, but we're not going to see anywhere near what we've seen before. Military surplus, just in general, it would be a good investment if you are investing in them for a collection or for a tool to do a job, not necessarily like, hey, I'm going to go buy me a Mosin and that's going to be my hunting rifle, whereas yes, that absolutely could pay for itself really gosh darn quickly. Go out and nab yourself a 300-pound deer with one of these things, and that's 300 pounds of meat right there. Well, maybe not 300 pounds, you'll probably get like 180 pounds off of it or something like that. Either way, you get yourself a lot of meat off of that deer. Do that a couple of times, and the amount of money you'll save with hunting as opposed to with going and buying your stuff at the store, that would make the rifle pay for itself. So yes, using the rifle for some sort of situation to either save money or make money would make that rifle a solid investment. However, if you are going to invest in a rifle like this just to turn around and resell it in 10 years for, let's say you pay 400 bucks for one of these, turn around and resell it in 10 years for like $500, maybe $550, who knows what the market price is going to be at that point. Or maybe these will be surplused out and return to being like $80 a piece. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the future, especially nowadays. The future is incredibly uncertain. And it's not just the Mosin. I got a couple of examples. This is a Hugo Mauser 2447. Nowadays, these right here run like $500 or so a piece. Back in the day, you could pick them up for like 150 bucks. or the SKS. You used to be able to get crates of these for like $80 a piece, and this right here was such a good value, such an incredible value for what you could get back in the day. Back then, absolutely a good investment if you were just going to buy it and then resell it. But if you're going to buy it and then actually use the tool to do something to make yourself a profit, then they could potentially be a good investment. So, yeah. How do I describe? Well, actually, here's a good example. Whenever I'm trying to figure out how to describe this the best that I can, I run a YouTube channel, and I know my last Mosin that I bought, I paid like $350 for, and it's really not in that great of shape. It was a run-of-the-mill 9130. Actually, I think it's this one right here. But I paid like $350 for it, and that's about standard price for a Mosin 9130. I could probably turn around and resell it for like $400 or so, maybe talk someone up to like $425 or something like that. I'd really be pinching my pennies there. Or what I could do is I could go and make myself a bunch of videos with it like I am right now, showing it off, and the amount of money that I'd make from those videos would not only pay for the rifle, but I would also make significant profit once the rifle has been paid for. And so as a result, paying that $350 for an investment in this Milsurp rifle was absolutely worth it. So I guess whenever people ask me if collecting Milsurp rifles are worth it, or just military surplus in general, be it rifles, helmets, pistols, gear, whatever it is that you're looking for, whenever it comes to picking up this gear as an investment, it all depends on what it is that you're going to do with it. If you're going to pick it up as an investment and then just sit on it and wait for the prices to go up, then it's not really a good investment, because as inflation and whatnot makes those prices go up, the prices on everything else is going to go up as well. So the value of the dollar has decreased. So although you turn around and you sell this rifle for more money, you're still selling it for the same value. Like if you could buy, let's say for example, you bought something and you bought it with the amount of money it would take to buy 10 loaves of bread, and then you sold that same thing for, you know, another 50% amount of money. So normally, if inflation did not have happened, you would be able to buy 15 loaves of bread with that 50% increase. Well, because of inflation, although you sold it for more money, that new level of money still just buys 10 loaves of bread. So it just doesn't make sense to get some of these and hold on to them and try to serve them as an investment for making money down the road if you're just going to buy them, hold them, and then sell them. Simply because I don't foresee the market price on these raising much more than they already have, simply because the surplus is already pretty much dried up. And we might see some other stuff get surplus from some other countries, but with the way that the world is going, I wouldn't necessarily place money on it. We are definitely uphill in that kind of a battle. If you are looking to get your hands on one of these and you're not looking to just take it, hold it, and sell it, then you can absolutely justify the expense in investing in one of these. Like I justify the expense in investing in a lot of these, because I'm like, hey, I'll go ahead and I'll come out here and I'll make a dozen videos with this thing, and people will love it. They'll see it. You know, a lot of people love the Mosin. I've made a couple of videos on the Mosin, and just because people like the Mosin, they'll go and they'll click the video. Especially if I start breaking out some munitions and sending lead downrange. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's try this pocket. There we go. I got some light ball 147 grain projectiles. This is 7.62 by 54 rims, obviously. And we're going to go ahead and fire this out of the Mosin, and I'm just going to send some lead down at the car down there. Let's go for, oh, I don't know. Let's go for that rear rim. Why not? And now let's go for the front rim there. Yeah, that car has in fact been shot. I'll take this out. I'll run some rounds through it. People will smile. They'll be like, oh, that's cool. They'll subscribe to the channel because they like the Mosin. Like for me and my example and what I use it for, that's definitely a good, solid investment. Now, this Yugo 2447, I actually paid more money for this than I did for my Mosin, so it would take significantly more content of making with this 8mm Mauser to have the rifle pay for itself in comparison to the Mosin. This right here is actually an RTI Yugo, and I made a video on it and how it was not functional and how I needed to do some work to it in order to get it functional, and it was just a nightmare and a half. But on the bright side, the bore is good, and she is accurate, and, well, even if it wasn't accurate, we're shooting at a car at 40 yards. Ought to be accurate enough, right? So, there's our one round. Let's send another round here. Why not? Oh, failure to fire. You noticed that big flinch? I noticed that big flinch. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted and ready for bed and whiskey. Let's try that again. There we go. Paid attention to not flinch that time. Okay, let's try this once more. Why not? Alright. I like this rifle. Good investment if you're going to actually use them for whatever situation it is that you need to use them for. But yeah, I wouldn't get them just to sit on them, just to resell them later. I would not deem that as a good investment by that point. This video was a little on the rambly side, but I still think I got my point across. It's hot out here. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm calorie deficient. So thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'm going to go hang out in the air conditioning for a while. It's like 95 degrees out here right now with a heat index of like 112, and it's humid. It just rained earlier. It sucks out here. I'm going inside. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Gary. Shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.